In the words of Chris Tucker, how do you get fired on your day off? Dave Ziegler, Josh McDaniels gone as the Raiders GM and head coach. We'll talk about that on the Put On Raiders podcast.
Welcome to the Put On Waivers Media Group, home of the Put On Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome, everybody, to another glorious episode of the Put On Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas. I would definitely love to hear what Ryan Holmes has to say about this breaking news. And when we get him on, a little later in the week, we will. But Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, gone as head coach, gone as general manager. It's been chronicled on this show, chronicled everywhere about how bad this team has played under him. All the moves that he's done, all the Patriot West stuff that they've done, everything has been pretty bad from day one. They've made a whole bunch of mistakes. Just been managed poorly. Didn't have a clear vision of where you wanted to go. He's supposed to be an offensive head coach. That wasn't the strength of this team ever. Under him, they just struggled in the red zone. They struggled in all these different aspects of it. They struggled to run the football. They struggled to have a really good offensive line. They struggled to get the ball to Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow and Jacoby Myers and Michael Mayer and people like that. They just really struggled to just do anything offensively. And I think that was his biggest undoing here with the Raiders. If he was, scoring points at a high clip, if he was, and the Raiders were losing games, 28-31, and he had the same record, I think he still might be the head coach. But when you're putting up Jamarcus Russell, Mike White, type numbers offensively, you can't keep your job, and you don't deserve to. I mean, you don't deserve to. From day one, they came in, they signed Derek Carr, and that's fine if you want to try to roll with Derek Carr as your quarterback, but you give him a no trade clause. Kind of puts you pigeonholes you so you don't get compensation if you want to move on from Derek Carr. They probably should have let Derek Carr play out his contract and just put him on that 1 year and let's see how it goes, right? You trade for Devontae Adams. Had a big year last year, but just not really doing anything this year. You're going to be paying Chandler Jones. You push that money to next year. You replace Derek Carr with Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jimmy Garoppolo has been horrible in every aspect of the world. Jimmy Garoppolo has been bad. You can't. He leads the league in interceptions. Every Raider quarterback on their roster has more INTs than TDs. All guys selected, acquired by Josh McDaniels. I think one of the first things I would do right now if I was the Raiders, I'd probably cut Brian Hoyer. Just get him out of here. It's a useless little move, but just he's best friends with Josh McDaniels. That's one of the reasons why he's on this roster. He's not a very good football player. He's 0-13 in his last starts. Jimmy's obviously hurt. So just, sign some backup and go ahead and just ride Aiden O'Connell, if you will. Right now, the Raiders will have Champ Kelly as their interim GM and have Antonio Pierce, former Giants linebacker, as their interim head coach. I definitely would have fired Josh McDaniels. Definitely would have fired Dave Ziegler. I just don't know if I would have fired him in season, because where you need to go is a place where you end up with Drake May. You end up with Michael Penix. You end up with Caleb Williams. That's where the Raiders really need to go. Go get the young quarterback. Build the line, build the defensive and offensive line, build these teams inside and out. The Lions have done it. So many teams have done it. The Eagles have done it. Some of these teams who are going to be perennial winning organizations year in and year out. The Niners defensive line, they just added Chase Young. Those are the kind of things that you have to do in order to become a really good football team. And that's the way to go, is build through it. Even if that quarterback tanks, even if Caleb Williams, Drake May, Michael Penix, any one of these guys they just fall on their face and the NFL is too much for them. You just pull what the Jets did. The Jets, the Jets said, okay, fine, that's great. We're gonna pivot. You just pivot. It's okay to just go pivot from that guy. It's okay to do that. And I think that's something that with the rookie wage scale, it's easier to do now than it was to do when the Jamarcus Russell era was there. Like, their fans need something to be excited about. The fans need something to be able to say, "Hey, we're gonna go out there, and I'm gonna go out there and drop that money to go to a game in Vegas." Your core fans are still, all over the world, but a lot of them are in Northern California. All of them are in the state of California, and they don't mind taking a trip. I mean, I don't mind taking a trip to Vegas, but we just want to see a good product. And Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, they just were in over their head. They were an embarrassment. They did not in any way know how to run an organization. And I think, again, when you have a privatized organization like the New England Patriots, where everything goes through one person and Bill Belichick, you have no idea who is doing what job. You don't know what impact somebody could be. You could hire somebody from the Patriots and they could be Bill's right hand man. They could be somebody who Bill goes through every day and talks to and gets great feedback from and all the stuff like that. Or that same person could be a guy who just gets coffee, but has that patriot thing, right? That patriot way, quote unquote patriot way. Funny how the patriot way is gone because TB12 is not there anymore. It's amazing how that goes. That should show you everything you need to know, that the quarterback is the most important piece of this puzzle. The quarterback is the most important piece to this puzzle. The quarterback is the most important piece to this puzzle. You are either a Super Bowl contender or you have your future quarterback on the roster. The Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, they're not either. They're not a Super Bowl contender, and they don't have their future quarterback on the roster. So let's do what's right and go ahead and get the Super Bowl. Let's build a Super Bowl contender through the quarterback. It just makes sense. Go get the rookie quarterback. It doesn't mean you're not going to win. Look at. I mean, like, look at what CJ Stroud's doing. He's having a good rookie campaign. Anthony Richardson, decent rookie campaign, exciting plays before he got hurt. Like, I mean, let's just build it. Jalen Hurts made the playoffs in year one. You know why? Because Jalen Hurts was put in a situation where the team was completely loaded because they drafted well. They acquired the right free agents. Like, they made good trades. Like, that's what the Raiders need to do. And I wish Antonio Pierce luck. I wish Champ Kelly luck. You don't get these opportunities very often. The issue I have with it is just that, I'm just worried about the whole Rich Bisaccia effect. And if the team turns it around and starts winning games, I can't complain about that part of it. They just need to get this future quarterback. And I don't want anything blinding, them from, for this whole Antonio Pierce thing, from this whole, Champ Kelly thing. Do they need to go out there? I want them to go out there with clear eyes in the offseason. That's why I would have fired him after the season was over. But it probably got so bad in that locker room, the performances were getting so poor. Ryan Holmes has been doing all 22 for 6 years, and he said, the Lions tape was the worst tape he's ever seen from any Raiders team in the 6 years that he has been doing all 22 reviews. And that I can totally co-sign on that as well. It's just been very bad. I mean, some of their draft picks are on milk cartons. Bryant Young gets, I mean, he gets moved all the time. Jacorian Bennett, just horrible. Like all these guys have been really, really bad. Chris Smith can't get, it was can't run. You draft a safety who cannot run. Again, you drafted a defensive back who cannot run just because he went to a big school. Sounds very Miyake, if you will. So the Raiders made this move. We're gonna have more on this move as well. So it is actual. I mean, it's breaking. I mean, it's crazy to think about it because I mean, this is a year and not even a half into a 6-year deal. I didn't even realize because the coaching numbers as far as money and years is just kept private for whatever reason. But 6-year deal, 6-year deal. Um, and yes, he'll be getting paid for the Raiders for 5. He'll be fine. Like I don't feel bad for Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels are going to go on him and he and his family are going to go on many vacations on the dollar bill of the Raider fan and Mark Davis. Mark Davis gonna be paying for a whole lot of vacations for him because $10 million is $10 million a year, whatever he's making. I think he's definitely in the top 10 of head coaches salaries. But this was bad. And I think I'm not sure how long the next head coach is gonna get for years. Maybe next coach, if it's not a big name head coach, will he get, you know, the mega deal? Will he get 6, 7 years to do so? I don't know. I know we're gonna be spending a whole lot of time talking about GM and head coaching combinations. Harbaugh may be out in Michigan. Sounds like the NCAA does not want Harbaugh to be part of college football, and that could be a situation where he gets fired. So that could be something as well. So think about that. Um, but Mark did the right thing. Wish he did it a little bit later in the season. There's a lot of football left. But because I don't want the Raiders to get blinded to think that, oh my God, hey, we could actually maybe keep Antonio Pierce or maybe keep Champ Kelly. Like, I mean, if they turn this whole thing around, make the playoffs, and they look like an actual NFL football team, you got to consider it. Some have said, hey, maybe Bisaccia could have been a guy who you could have had as a CEO head coach, maybe go out there and get an offensive coordinator to call plays for him, things like that. And maybe, put the team in a good spot there, but they didn't do that. But this has been a tumultuous couple years for the Raiders with this head coach. The brashness, the arrogance of basically we don't know football, but he does. All those things like that it's been really hard for a lot of Raider fans. And Raider fans were united. We're not usually united. This is the Carr era, so this is part of the Carr era. We're not united in a lot of ways, but we were united in not wanting Josh McDaniels in the first place. Very united in the fact that we did not want Josh McDaniels to be the head coach. Give him an opportunity. I think 25 games was fair, and he's been horrible in every facet of football. He has been bad. So he and his family can go on vacations. They can go to Venice. They can go to Aruba, all paid for by Mark Davis and Raider fans. But it's time for the Raiders to move on, and we'll see how happens as the Raiders get ready to play the Giants here on a short week, and then Champ Kelly, no moves for him to really make, just kind of hold the ship down, if you will. And then you got Antonio Pierce becoming the interim head coach of Las Vegas Raiders here. So hold on. Thanks for your support on the channel. PORSBR is my Twitter handle. I probably forgot to put that out there. And then also the text line is right below. So text the show. And we give Brian and I all the questions in the world. I would love to hear your comments. Love to hear your ideas for GM and head coach. I'm sure we're gonna get a lot of Harbaughs. I heard a lot of Frank Smith, who's the offensive coordinator for the Dolphins. You're gonna get a lot of Eric Bieniemy, Ed Dobbs, and his connections to Jim Harbaugh. All those things are going to be big time conversations, big parts of conversations here on the channel. So we got that. I know I just had a couple of USC fans, because this channel is USC and Raiders, just text me, is there anybody else getting fired this week that we might know about? Initials AG. We'll see. All right. All right, Ray Nation. Take care.